Hello and welcome. Another edition of our Thursday Coaches Corner. Every week I try to make sure we talk to a college coach all across the country, all levels, all divisions. And this week is going to be a special one for me, somebody that I've known for many years, with an interesting progression into now becoming a head coach at the NCAA Division I level. Merrimack College up here in Andover, Massachusetts, the newly named head coach, Jeff Mejia. Jeff, thank you so much. I know you're extremely busy, but I really wanted to get you on the podcast, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Walter. I appreciate it too. Anytime we can get positive coverage on a platform like yours is excellent. We really appreciate it.
I'm going to start for a lot of parents that, we've had Jeff and his son on in the past, and, I really want to kind of start there because today's hot topic with the new 5 and 5, and is it JUCO? Is it gap year? Is it a postgrad year? Let's talk about Northern Essex. Now, you have a storied history there, taking that program to the Division III JUCO World Series over 10 times, national runner-up in 2016. And this is something that I think parents never knew that there were levels or divisions with regard to JUCO. But walk me through, Division III JUCO, not a lot of athletic scholarship money, if at all. And you had to go out and really grind and recruit, and you had to evaluate talent. What was it like when you were taking over Northern Essex in the very beginning, trying to get student athletes to consider a Division III JUCO in New England? And how did you kind of build from day one up into, the program that you left behind last year?
Yeah, when I originally got there, it was there was no athletic scholarships for JUCO D3 at all. When I took over Northern Essex, they had some success prior to me, and the way I built it up was, in the beginning in recruiting, it was really coming up with my plan and how I thought it would be successful, and then being able to sell that picture to parents. I was very fortunate to be really good at the recruiting end and convincing the message that we could be really good. We could be a great stepping stone in their child's journey to the next level and to get to a 4-year. I also capitalized on the students that did go the 4-year route out of high school that hit a bump in the road, right? Everybody's human. Sometimes you need a reset. So I really took advantage of that as well. And then, once we started winning, winning leads to everything, right? Once we started getting better, I would say by the 3rd year I was there, we became known as this New England program is up and coming. These guys are signing Division I scholarships. And then by year 6, 7, we became like, okay, if you're in New England and you can get on the team, it was at that point I was like, okay, hold on. I don't want to over recruit, right? And that's one thing I'm really proud of what I did there is we kept a very small roster. The school would have allowed me to take 50 if I wanted to. Never did it, never wanted to do it, wasn't interested in doing that. I really kept it almost as an extension of travel ball. I want to showcase every single player. I want anyone I bring in, I want to give them the opportunity to develop so that they can move on. And that was always the goal.
One of the things, with 13 years being a part of Northern Essex, you've sent, literally hundreds of athletes onto the 4-year levels, but you've probably run across some athletes that didn't get the attention that they thought they might have gotten. I would love for you to walk through, for parents particularly, what were those conversations like with those athletes that did not get or garner the attention of the 4-year schools and really didn't have the opportunity, at least from an athletic perspective, to be an active participant at the 4-year level?
Yeah, so you're talking like me bringing them in or after leaving?
After leaving Northern Essex.
Yeah, so it's basically, I'm brutally honest at all times, right? And we explain to the parents and to the players, listen, we're going to get you the opportunities. We're going to put you in front of the people that need to see you. But at the end of the day, it's how you play, right? You have to perform. And if your performance level is not such to garner these offers, it is what it is. And it's a very late And it's a very frustrating process that you're going to have to accept if you want to go the junior college route. I remember one player we had, he did not know where he was going. He ended up going to UMass Amherst until a week before the fall semester started.
Wow.
Right? He had to finish a summer course. And it's a late process. So you have to be willing to let the process play out. And then you have to be honest with yourself. For the players that, came in, they thought they were Division I, that ended up being Division III offers, that's excellent. Division III baseball is phenomenal. And you have to accept that. And I think we did a good job with those guys. I've never had any parent come up to us or, displeasure where their kids end up when they leave. It's kind of been the opposite. I've had players that got offers that decided they were done with baseball. They were like, I had one gentleman, he played in 2 College World Series, phenomenal student out of high school, phenomenal student at Northern Essex. He got a merit package from Bentley.
Oh,
huge merit package. I called the coaches there, great guys, Coach Hill. And I was like, hey, I got this kid. He's got himself in. He's, I've never had a junior college transfer to Bentley. And the player said, Coach, I appreciate that. And I do think I could play at that level, but I'm good. I'm ready to just buckle down and finish my degree there. I'm on a really good merit scholarship. So I want to make sure that, I'm putting my interest in my studies, my time in my studies. And I couldn't have asked for a better college experience than playing for you and playing in 2 College World Series. So it goes both ways. Is there some disappointment that the players don't reach the highest level? Of course, that's going to be wherever you go.
One of the things I would love for you to share before we get into Merrimack a little bit, because I think it's a very unique perspective, because as a dad, you and I both have gone through the process with regard to having sons that, went through college and played at the college level. But with regard to your son, Jeffrey, he played for you for a year at Northern Essex, but he started out at Division I, UMass Lowell, hit a bump in the road, come back and played for you at Northern Essex, and then ended up at UMaine and had a great career at UMaine with Coach Nick Durba. Talk a little bit about your perspective as a parent. Share with parents the value of the JUCO experience and then being ready and fully prepared for college baseball at a school like UMaine Orono.
Yeah, Jeff had a kind of a unique, it was the old school, right?
Right.
It's the way it used to work. He was a sophomore in high school. Coach Herring and his assistants at that point really liked him. They made him, a verbal commitment, and he committed to go there. And, my son, he's this is what I committed to. This is where I'm going. By the time he got to Lowell, the assistant coaches that had recruited him had moved on to really good schools. And he went in there. Ken was great. The new assistants we love. I'm very close with the assistants that he played for under Lowell. It didn't work for one reason or another. He after his second year there, he had redshirted. He had hurt his knee. He decided that it was in his best interest to try to make a change. It was during summer ball. He was like, I miss playing every day. I'm going to have a meeting with the coaches at the end of summer ball, and I'm going to let them know I'm thinking about moving on. And as a dad, I was like, well, hold on. They're giving you a very nice scholarship, and what's your plan? And he said to me, he goes, Dad, my plan honestly is I want to go in the military someday. So I'm going to come and play for you for a year, but I'm not going to live at home. I'll get an apartment, too much, play and live with the coach. And then I'm going to look at a lot of military schools. And that was the plan. He came in. We had a very aggressive fall schedule. We played Bryant that year. We played Assumption that year. No, St. A's, and we played Maine. He tore it up. There was 5 players on my team that year in the same situation as my son. 2 days before Florida, trip canceled, COVID. Never played for me in the spring. Oh. So, a few schools had reached out. One military school that he really, really liked. The coach called me and I said, Coach, this is between you and my son. He goes, no, I want a professional courtesy, Jeff. We want your son. He just played the summer with two of our outfielders, and he out hit them by 60 points. He could stop here. We're a military institution. We do not cut kids. With the COVID happening, I have too many guys. It's not like I can make space. And I said, I appreciate that. Like, I really do. Like, I get it. And he wanted to go there, but it just wasn't going to work. Then Nick Turba had called and said, hey, we're interested in Jeff. I said, all right, I'll send you his cell phone. And then I didn't talk to Nick for almost a month and a half. Right? I stay out of it. My son decided that was the place for him. And he went up there and he had a great career there. Matter of fact, all 5 of those D1 bounce backs that year all ended up back at Division I colleges, which was great.
You know, I think it's now time for parents to understand that, you know, over the last 13 years, you building a program and having an intimate awareness of not only the local New England JUCO routes, but nationally, you know, you've played in a College World Series where you've interacted. Now taking your coaching experience over the last 13 years to Merrimack. Now, Merrimack, for those of you that may not know, predominantly back in our day, the Northeast 10, which was Assumption, Bentley, U Lowell, Franklin Pierce, New Haven. But now schools like Stonehill, New Haven, and obviously Merrimack have become Division I over the last, 15 years we're going on now, if not more. And now you're in an area, you're very aware of Merrimack being in the greater Andover area, you know, with regard to your business and your coaching career. What is that going to be like, knowing how you've been evaluating as a junior college coach, now being a Division I NCAA coach, and now your recruiting goes on a national scale? What is it you're looking forward to building at Merrimack? And talk a little bit about the academic acumen of Merrimack for people that may not be familiar with it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm super excited. Like, Merrimack's always been a dream school for me to be at. I just like the way they've handled their business over the years, watching them grow into a Division I. Obviously, growing up around here, hockey's always been,
right,
the Mecca, right? The Merrimack hockey. My wife is a graduate of Merrimack College. I remember visiting her when I would be on leave from the military. And, we'd be like, oh, is the hockey team playing? Like, super excited. And to see now all the other sports and the President Hopi has been amazing to get all of the other sports on that level, and to be a fully Division I college is super exciting to be part of what they've already done. Academically, Merrimack's always been known as a strong point, right? The business degree is outstanding. My wife was a CJ major. She ended up going to law school. So I've known the academic piece of it. One of the things that really excites me is how advanced thinking that Merrimack is. For example, they just went to a tiered tuition system. So, if you're coming in to get that business degree or an engineering degree, your tuition is at one level. However, if you're going to a more like a liberal arts or humanities degree, your tuition's a different level. So it's a really unique way of thinking to make it affordable for a private school. And then the growth with all the new dorms they've built for the infrastructure and the facilities, it's amazing to be here. As far as the recruiting goes, one of the questions I was actually asked in my interview by one of the assistant athletic directors was, well, you're a junior college coach for Division III junior college. How are you going to be able to recruit a Division I athlete? And I respectfully told her, I said, well, I've always recruited Division I athletes. Some of them were already ready to be Division I that were overlooked. Some of them were Division I athletes in the making. So that end of it, evaluating, looking for the pieces of the puzzle to build this into a championship program, it's not much different than what I was doing, to be honest, especially with today's day and age in college baseball, right? With the transfer portal, the rosters going down to 34, the 5 and 5. I can't tell you how many conversations the last 2 years I've had with Division I college coaches like, Jeff, every June you're building a new roster at NECO. We're waking up on June 1st and we're down to, missing 15 guys. How do you do it? And I said, well, first thing is you don't panic. Trust the process, trust yourself, and get the guys you want. And, you got to adapt.
So I want you to kind of, now you're able to sit in a different chair. So your perspective when they used to call you as a JUCO coach to kind of calm them down. Well, now you're on the other side. And now I would love for you to share perspective on the 5-5 that, commences officially in 2027, if not sooner. But how do you as a coach now go about roster construction with regard to having 5 classes now? Theoretically, you have 5 classes, freshmen through that graduate year, whatever we're going to classify it. Walk us through your thought process with the whole 5-year window now. Is it more advantageous for parents to kind of look to the JUCO and then get their way into, as far as being able to be an active part of a 34-man roster? What's your perspective on the 5-5?
It's kind of both. If the player's ready to come in and compete to play at the Division I level, then you come right in as a freshman. That's what you do. If they need that extra year, maybe whether it's physically or whether it's academically, one of the things that junior college does now is they get a lot of high academic student athletes. So it's not always about the academics. Some people believe junior colleges, but here at Merrimack, it's a work in progress, right? It's new for everybody. 5-5 is new. One of my first goals here was to put together the best staff, right? And as a staff, we've already met, and we have a plan. We have a plan to get us to the 34. That's going to happen within the next 2 years once all the DSAs are out. And we have a strategic plan of how many freshmen we're going to bring in per class. We know we're going to lose some players to the portal. Those players would possibly be replaced by junior college athletes or other portal athletes. We're not going one way or the other. I know some schools are going portal heavy. Other schools are going, high school heavy. We're going to be right in that window where we're comfortable, that we can really dedicate and come through on everything we promise a student athlete.
When you're looking at a high school athlete, because this is an interesting dynamic, because not a lot of coaches have your perspective, which really makes your opportunity at Merrimack that much more special. And that is, okay, I'm a high school athlete. He's going to graduate at, say, 18. Do I go to JUCO and then start my eligibility clock, or do I look to take a gap year or a postgrad year now, which, we're in the same geographical area. Postgraduate is really something that's very prominent, not only in hockey for several decades, but now becoming more increasingly a part of the high school kind of into college experience. What do you say to that parent or that student athlete? Do you go burn that year and go to JUCO? Or do you kind of, wait a minute now, let's look at this and maybe do a post-grad year, gap year, get stronger, get a little bit better prepared, and then come to Merrimack and have a full allotment of 5 years?
Yeah, once again, I've always had that, right? I was on the junior college level. So do you go to post-grad year or do you go to junior college, right? Well, it's actually it's different now, right? Because of the new rule.
Right.
If you turn 19 that summer after you graduate high school, your 5-year clock starts.
Right, starts.
So
right.
If you go to JUCO or you go to a prep year, you're losing one of the 5.
Right.
However, if you don't turn 19 until post-September, you could go to that post-grad year or the junior college, and you still reserve your 5 years the following year, right? So I think it's very unique for both of those, right? And it's a different answer for both of those student athletes, right? I think the junior college, I've always put it like this, whether I'm right or wrong. I thought prep school, if you were a pitcher that was looking to get a little bit more velo, or a positional player that already had an agreement in place with a 4-year school, then the prep school was probably a good option. And for positional players that were looking to improve or to prove that they belong at the next level, I like the junior college route, right? I think I'm going to want to see these kids competing against other college age athletes opposed to another year competing against high school age athletes. For some of them, other prep schools are so good, like it's going to be a good experience. So it's really comes down to one, economics.
Right.
If the family can afford to go one way or the other route, and both have economic challenges. The maturity of the athlete. Are they ready to move out on their own? Do they need that? Go to a prep school where they're bored and really mature? Or do they go to a community college or go to a community college with a dorm, right? There's a lot of factors in it. There's no wrong answer. And it's not cookie cutter. You really got to know your child. You really got to know what makes them work. And then you got to do the homework, just like in the travel ball industry, right? There's a flavor for everybody. Know those coaches. Go to their games. Find out their style. Does their style fit your son's style? Is he going to be able to get developed there? And I think once you do that, and if you're honest with yourself, the decision becomes easier.
I agree. And one of the things I would want you to do, because I know you've been in the travel ball world for decades, and the youth athlete, and their thought process as they're getting into high school. They're starting to think college and recruiting and who the college coaches are and who's like. What advice would you give to parents and student athletes that are in let's say the 28, the 29, and now even the 30 class with regard to preparing? Now, you've prepared not only your own son, but you've prepared literally hundreds of athletes over the last 20 years, with regard to travel ball and in through high school. What would you give them for advice in today's world, how to best prepare physically, mentally, academically for Merrimack and beyond with regard to the college experience?
Yeah. First and foremost, surround yourself with honest people. Don't surround yourself with the yes men and the guys that are just going to tell you what you want to hear.
Amen.
That's first. Second of all is be able to have true evaluations of yourself and understand what it really means to be a hard worker. Everyone's going to say they're a hard worker, but not everyone is a hard worker. And to understand what it takes to be a Division I athlete or a college athlete at all, because every levels is phenomenal, you got to be willing to go that extra mile and be hard work. As far as physical, I try to 10 kids, and listen, I've been in travel ball, right?
Right.
I've done a million lessons over the years. Okay. I tend to tell those kids in the last 3 years, yes, you got doing a hitting lesson here is good. Get your tweaks in, have a good guy. But I would take more money away from that and put it into a strength coach.
Amen.
Get in the gym. Get physically ready. If you are a multi-sport athlete, awesome. Love multiple sport athletes, right? It's okay to put the glove down a little bit. But make sure that like the hard work and that your body is going to be ready physically to do that hard work. So my advice would be like surround yourself with people that are going to be honest with you, not the ones that are going to tell you what you want to hear. Understand and take their advice and understand how it is to truly work hard. I'll give you an example. Like I had 2 kids, very different. My daughter went to Clemson. Jeff's up in Maine. My wife's got the cell phone with tracking them, and, she had it, but I would always ask her what they were doing. It would be a Saturday night. Hey, what's the kids doing? She goes, oh, Bella's at the study hall and, Jeff's in the baseball facility. And by study hall, for those of you who don't know at Clemson, study hall is the local establishment
Right.
the kids hang out at, but he would be putting in the extra hours, so, hard work, it's really difficult to play this game, and you got to love it. You got to love it.
And I want parents to know, I don't do this often, but I do have a relationship with Coach Mejia. If you're a parent and you're from the West Coast, the Southeast, and you're looking for the combination of athletics and academics, Merrimack, when Coach Mejia says it's elite academically, it is an elite university that is now a unique college, elite college. The footprint for the college has grown so it's the school now doesn't resemble anything 10 years ago. The footprint, the new dorms, the new buildings, the academic and athletic facilities and amenities. But speaking personally, I can tell you I talk to a lot of baseball men, and I talk to a lot of coaches that I've known for many years. There's not many that are better talent evaluators he will not tell you what you want to hear because you want to hear it. Coach Mejia is always going to be honest, respectful, but honest to make sure that you understand where you stand today and what you're capable of tomorrow. So if you're a parent and you're saying, well, I think my student athlete belongs at Division I and we're looking for a strong academic experience, Merrimack. And now that Coach Mejia is involved at Merrimack, I can't emphasize this enough. And Jeff, I want you to share with parents, how do they get on campus? Are you having some camps? Or, I'm sure there are tours that the school does, but I really think it's advantageous for parents that may not be from the Northeast to take a visit and see the campus because I think it's spectacular. And it's located in a beautiful Andover area in Massachusetts. But do you have upcoming camps that are coming up for Merrimack baseball?
Yeah, and let me take it back just for a second. So like I advise the parents to surround yourself with good people. It's what I did. My staff here is phenomenal. Brandon Bingle, Division I athlete, drafted, played as a two-way in professional baseball, right?
Right.
He was a main recruiter at Bentley that just went to a Division II college world home run hire, right? Then we went out and I got Nick White, who was a two-time All-American for me at NECO, was captain of UMaine baseball and an assistant coach there for the last 2 years, and then we call him Georgie A, a former player who was like the 13th person in his family to graduate from Merrimack.
Wow.
Talk about a family that loves the school. And then, of course, I got RJ Warnock, who was the first player at any level of college in the country to win the ABCA Rawlings Gold Glove as a shortstop when he played at NECO, also played at Division I level, who's a full-time firefighter. He's a hero. These are the guys I surrounded myself with, my staff. And they're all evaluators. They're all honest, hard-working men. And to get in front of us, we are going to give you honest feedback, right? You will know where you stand with us at all times. I'm okay of having those hard conversations, right? Your son's not the top choice for us. He falls in that 3 to 5 at his position. I'm going to have that conversation. We are running camps. We got everything up and running. We're kind of like drinking out of a fire hose, right?
Right.
We've done it. We've done it. We have September 6th. We're having our first prospect camp. It's Warrior Baseball Prospects is the website. They can register. It's going to be skill showcase, positional play, skill showcase, and defensive drills, and then followed with a game. All our coaches are going to be there. We're going to be evaluating players, and then we're still in the process of possible some team camps moving forward. As far as getting on campus, that's probably the easiest way to get in front of us baseball wise. And then there's always campus tours that they come in. We can, during certain times of the year, we can walk the student athletes around. You hit the nail on the head. This campus is beautiful. I will put this campus up against any campus. I was walking down the backside the other day and I felt like I was at the Cape.
Right.
Like all the little townhouses they have for the students to live and the side roads, and then the leaves are in full bloom. It's a beautiful campus. And you take that with the academics and the student life and what they do, the student life is phenomenal here. And in the area we're in, you got everything. You're in the Northeast. You want to go to the Red Sox? No, take a 20-minute ride into Boston, right? You want to go up skiing? Take a 20-minute ride up to New Hampshire. Like it's a really unique and special place to be.
Well, I want parents, I'm going to have all of Coach Mejia's contact information in the description below. Again, September 6th, you have your Warrior Prospect Camp. I strongly encourage you to reach out to any member of the coaching staff at Merrimack. And Coach, best of luck. I know you're going to hit the ground running, and I thank you so much for taking the time to share not only your story at Merrimack, but your thoughts about JUCO as well. It was really informational and really helpful for parents.
No, I really appreciate you having me on. It's a great day to be a Warrior, and we're looking to keep building this thing